And the Knicks, they just keep rolling. I mean, injury hit after injury hit, and there they are. What did they prove to you in this game, too?
What a night to be at the Garden. What a memorable night. First off, in the energy coming into this game, the fans in New York are on an absolute magical ride right now, not just with the Knicks, but with the Rangers, who won in double overtime the night before. And then it hit a brick wall in that second quarter. The energy completely drained from the building. Everybody, I'm getting text messages from all these fans in the stands who are just trying to get information on what happened with Jalen Brunson. He left, and people were just totally drained. That second quarter, when the Pacers made that run, I'm not so sure the fans were even focused on the game as much as they were focused on Brunson. And then, Malika, the moment when Brunson came out of the tunnel. Now, you have to. This is halftime. The bowl is half empty. There's no halftime show going on. Red Panda had the night off. Brunson walks back out on the court, and there's this sort of murmur that goes through. People start streaming in from the concourses, and Jalen felt it and just told everybody, calm down. I just got to see how this is going to work. And everybody was just sort of this tension. And then for the Knicks to come out and have one of the best runs of their entire postseason, this incredible third quarter after Brunson comes back, it was amazing. It was an incredible moment. And obviously the Pacers were a little bit overwhelmed by it. They are still a young team. This is the first time they've been deep for most of these guys in the playoffs. And I think the moment with Brunson leading the charge and the rest of the Knicks really playing off that energy in the crowd, they just made more plays. Now, I don't know if this was schematic. I think it was more spirit and more energy.
Yeah.
And it was a huge for the Knicks to be able to pull out a 2-0 series lead considering the challenges they're facing.
You know what's insane, Brian? It was 54 years to the day of Willis Reed coming out of the tunnel in that same way. And to have that mirror image in Jalen Brunson, this is what Knicks fans love. This is what Knicks fans are rooting for. But they played essentially 7 guys. And now, barring an update on OG Anunoby, it didn't look good. We know this is a player that doesn't tend to play through injuries like that. He's going to be a free agent this offseason. A lot going on there. You're basically down to 6. Perk, how concerned are you?
Not you too, sis. Not today. Listen, you know I flew in today, right?
Yes.
And I usually hibernate on the plane.
Yes.
Because I have an early morning flight. Well, today I was up. Okay, I was up. Shout out to Delta. Those French toasts was great. Okay, shout out to Delta. That's first thing first.
I love a French toast.
Second thing, so I turn on the television and I put it on ESPN. Okay, and I'm watching my friends, brothers, sisters, do their job and do a great job at it. But then my skin started to crawl because all I kept seeing is, oh, what's going to happen with the Knicks? And everybody was trying to find something that was wrong with the Knicks instead of appreciate what the Knicks are doing.
Okay.
And what they're doing right now is on the verge of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're 2 games away, and they're getting it done in great fashion. When you talk about a man's man, that's what these guys are. It's all about heart, led by Big Body Brunson, led by Tom Thibodeau. Don't come give me all this about, oh, they're only playing 6 guys, and these guys are playing heavy minutes, and Tom Thibodeau, he's not doing this right when it comes down to his substitution. Well, you know what he's doing? You know what he is doing right?
Yeah.
He's getting the best out of his players. Now, granted, I understand they have injuries that happen throughout the course of a season, but we cannot blame all of this on Tom Thibodeau. As far as Mitchell Robinson, he only was averaging 19 minutes a game since returning in the postseason. Okay, we know Julius Randle went down, during the season. That was an incident that had something to do with a hard foul. Okay, even when you look at Bogdanovich, Nicholas Batum in the first round rolled on his ankle. So I'm looking at the New York Knicks, and they're in a great spot. They got home court advantage. They up 2-0, and they're going down to Indiana, and they still have the 3-headed monster. Those Dover boys. They're in a great position.
Your positivity, it is infectious. I am going to take it. I will ask you, Brian, is that what you were feeling being around the team, that sort of positivity towards all of this surrounding OG Anunoby?
I think that was what they were projecting, yes. They're on a magic carpet ride right now, and I appreciate what Perk is saying. I do think, though, it's undeniable that they are sort of robbing from Peter to pay Paul right now, trying to, patchwork this team together. I appreciate what you're saying, Perk, but you got to admit that the heavy minutes that OG Anunoby was playing may have contributed to that injury. I'm also just interested if Jalen Brunson is going to be on the injury report that the Knicks will file with the league later today, because I'm not sure. Perk made a bit of a joke about what he might have done in that locker room, but I'm not sure where that foot is going to respond.
Okay.
And more worrisome to me, Malika and Perk, I'm not sure where the injury occurred. I kind of missed the second quarter last night because I was rewatching the first quarter, watching every step that Jalen took, trying to figure out where he might have gotten hurt, and I didn't see it. And when you see an injury like that, it makes you wonder what's going on there. So, Perk, I feel you, and up 2-0 against an inexperienced team is great position, but the Knicks are a little closer to danger zone than they'd want to be in an up 2-0 series situation.
So now the series shifts back to Indiana. And speaking of, Pacers coach Rick Carlisle, right, he was ejected late in the fourth quarter of Game 2, mounting frustration over refereeing. Brian, you reported this morning that Indiana has submitted 78 incorrect or non-calls in the first 2 games to the league. I want to take a listen here to Carlisle expressing his frustration, his anger after the game. Take a listen real quick.
I'm always talking to our guys about not making it about the officials, but we deserve a fair shot, and it's just not. There's not a consistent balance, and that's disappointing.
Okay, 78 calls submitted to the league. I think, my goodness, that seems like a lot. But what does that actually mean, something being submitted to the league, and what do the Pacers hope the outcome of that is, Brian?
Well, this is what I think you need to know about this. I don't think this was really about Game 2 at all. I think this was about Game 1 and Game 3. The Pacers elected not to make a big deal of the officiating mistakes at the end of Game 1, which were very unfair and penal to them. They didn't feel that they got the karma or the benefit of the doubt they were hoping to get in Game 2. And I think they realized that Game 3 is going to be this series, and they want to begin to seed the ground. This is a long history of this, and then the NBA playoff series dating back to Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, many coaches since then who already start working the officials between games. And that is exactly what Rick Carlisle, a veteran coach, did. And he understands the Knicks maybe are a little wounded in Game 3, possible pivot point, and he was already working on his game plan, what Friday night meant when they did this, and that's part of why they did this. They filed this to the league. They wanted it to be very known of their displeasure and apply pressure to the officials who are going to come to Indiana tomorrow.
Well, Wendy, you know what? And look, I love you, and it's not towards you, but I don't give a damn, and instead of, he should have been, instead of losing sleep filing a complaint, 78 of them of incorrect calls, he should have been worrying about what he's been doing, right? He should have be worried about the mistakes he made. And the one mistake is not playing the kid T.J. McConnell in the first game. And then he does it again in the second game, and I'm talking about in the fourth quarter. Damn it, my grandmother has Alzheimer's, and she could have remembered to put him back in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I don't want to hear none of that. Go and address the issue at hand. Why did the New York Knicks score 130 points on you? Why did they beat you to every 50-50 ball in the fourth quarter? Why did they get 45% of their shots were uncontested in that game? They shot over 55% from the field. What are you going to do about that? Have you ever are you going over film to say, you know what, maybe we need to box out? This is the best offensive rebounding team in the league. I don't want to hear none of that, right? At the end of the day, it's one between the lines, and like an old guy, Doc Rivers always told me, don't leave the game in the officials' hands. Take care of business. Yeah. You should have took care of business. That lead should have grown in the second quarter when Jalen Brunson was out, and you should have continued to extend it.
I don't know. The kick ball by Nesmith with 52 seconds left in the first. I get all that, but yes, don't leave the game in the officials' hands.